Hey, welcome to AI Applied. And it has been a minute. And can I just explain why there may have been a little gap between our last episode? It's because unexpectedly, well, maybe not totally unexpectedly, Jaedan has become a father for, before you start getting in with your congratulations, the fourth time.
Don't congratulate me. This is nothing new.
Nothing new. Listen, every baby is new. Every baby is our little baby miracle. Clay is the cutest little guy. Jaedan is working on very little sleep. And I also, by the way, simultaneously went up to Canada with my son Finn. We were camping out in the wild. So anyway, the sort of stars aligned. I don't know which is the bigger story, me going to Canada or Jaedan having a baby. But let me just say
legendary, I will say.
Canada. I didn't realize that. I forgot Jaedan was from Canada. So I went up to Banff, and Jaedan and I were just talking off the air, and he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Have you been there?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I don't believe it, because I don't believe anybody who has been to Banff would ever stop talking about it. It is the most." So Finn and I did a camping trip through there. It was the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. You've been there, right?
Incredible. The water seems unearthly blue. Like, it doesn't even seem like it's possible how blue it is. It's pretty crazy.
It's like a mineral thing. It's like bright turquoise. The mountains are spectacular. If you're a camping kind of person, or even like what we do is like van camping, it is the absolute best. So anyway, audience, it is great to be back with you. We're thrilled to be back. I'll also say this, that in honor of Clay, we are doing a special post your review now and we will be happy special. I don't know exactly how that would work, but this is like Clay's birthday present. So we are just looking for ways to sort of use Clay's birth to increase our sort of number of stars. So that's one way you could do it. Listen, we actually had we were about to talk about one thing, but then Jaedan and I got on. We hadn't talked in a little while. We've been texting, obviously, back and forth, but we were about to talk about something in the news and all that kind of stuff. And then Jaedan starts in with something. So Jaedan, I really want to call an audible. I hope this is okay with you. I haven't really checked with you, but Jaedan was saying this, and Jaedan, I got permission to sort of at least say this, so I know I'm speaking out of turn. Clay, again, Jaedan, and congratulations to him and Jill. You sort of you've been a dad before. Jill's been a mom before. So you know this, but you're saying Clay sort of and as I've had kids too, has a little trouble sleeping. And so you're the first thing Jaedan says to me, guys, is, yeah, but I was up from 1 to 4, but guess what? I got a ton of coding done. I'm like, you've got to be out of your mind. What? But you're holding the baby. He's like, yeah, I'm holding the baby. I'm like, how did that work? So he starts to tell me, I'm like, hold on, let's start the podcast right now. Jaedan, can you just share, totally sleep deprived with Claude Code, baby in arms, probably trying to let Jill sleep, 3 other youngins. I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, no. So it is actually kind of interesting. And I already know, I'm sure there's a ton of criticism of people well, why are you working? You have a new baby. You should just take the time off and whatever. And I'm totally all on board for that. Especially when I used to work at a company, I say take the time off if they'll give it to you. Actually, my first company didn't give me. I had to take all my vacation days when I had a baby. I felt like that was a scam. But anyways, but the thing is, with my first children, so we've had a couple of our other kids where they had colic when they were first born. So very cranky. It's just they have gas and tummy problems for the first little while, so they cry a lot. Clay was like this for the first week. He's better now, so we're super thrilled. He slept the last 3 nights through eating in there, but no crying and waking up in the middle, so that was great. But for the first week after he was born, he had to be in the middle of the night basically rocked and bounced on a yoga ball. So I'm sitting on a yoga ball, bouncing him for hours to keep him happy. Basically, if you just kind of sit there or walk, you'll cry. So anyways, what's interesting though is in the past, we had this with one of our other kids. It was the exact same thing, except back then I would usually just be on my phone scrolling through X for hours and hours and hours at night. And anyways, this time around, I'm man, surely there's something more productive. And I'm okay, maybe I can read the Bible or do something like that that's kind of productive. So I have some other things that are better than just scrolling through X for 4 hours from 1 to 4 a.m. every night. But one of the things that I was blown away, a huge unlock that I realized you can actually do, is you can Claude Code, or you can use Claude Cowork to basically get any projects done. Now, I'm sure this isn't a newsflash to say that your cognitive function is not at its peak performance between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Really not peak performance there. But what's incredible is, in the daytime, I kind of had projects that I was working on. So I know the end goal. I know what we're working towards. I have to have basically both arms on the baby. But what you can do is I could, take my arm off, hit the transcribe button, or the audio speaking button, and I will talk to Claude while I'm sitting there bouncing the baby. And I'm like, hey, like on this app I'm building, this screen looks off, how it connects and does this, blah, blah, blah. I explain what I want to do and I hit go, and it sits there for like 20 minutes and it just runs. And so for me, it's like kind of the perfect opportunity because I'm reading the logs, I'm reading what it's doing. I really need both of my arms. So like I can't even hardly type with one hand, but I could click that audio transcribe button. And over the course of that first week, and I kind of had been working on a project for a long time before that, which is like this Bible study app, but it had mostly been a website and I'd kind of worked on the content. So over the last week and even the last couple of days, I've finished the full app. I'm about to push it live to the App Store. But yeah, in the last week, I was able to, while rocking a baby, create an entire app that will be live on the App Store, bug-free, incredible, like I spent $1 million on this thing. So really some big unlocks.
Unbelievable. So this is the part that I love, because I think people will hear like, oh, I talked to Claude Code and I told it what to do. So let me ask you this. I want to get like really granular, and we haven't done this enough, I think. Or I always like to do it anyway. So talk to me sort of like, you're on your phone. What are you seeing and how do you know sort of like what to say? I think that one of the big challenges for folks is not like, they know that they can sort of like ask Claude Code to do things, but they're like, well, I don't really know what to build. So you had a vision. You're building this Bible app, Bible study app. So you just sort of like, are you like looking at what's working, what's not on your mobile, and then are you flipping over to Claude or Claude Code? And is it Claude Code? Is that, do you have is Claude Code an app on your phone, or it's the usual Claude app? Or talk to us like granularly,
yeah,
like what are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm actually using my laptop. So I have like the kitchen counter. I'm bouncing my yoga ball in front of the kitchen counter with my laptop open on there. So when you're building like an iOS app, for example, you'll need you need an Apple computer, and you have Xcode, which is like what compiles all of Apple's special Swift code for iOS apps. And it has a phone emulator popping up. So there's like a fake phone on the screen.
Oh,
so
yeah, I've seen that.
When you tell it to do something, it pops up the fake phone. And that's how you can test what's going on. So yeah, I would just reach over and hit the audio button on my Mac, which, by the way, this is just the biggest unlock. I'm sure everyone else already knows this and they think I'm super dumb, but I used WhisperFlow for a long time. If any of you have heard 100%. Of WhisperFlow, yeah. And it was amazing, but like I hated how it kind of rate limited me to like how much I could say. And it's like, oh, you're out of your tokens. You want to upgrade? Or like, I was like, oh, come on. Because I talk all day long. So what I didn't realize, I was talking to my brother about that, and he was like, oh, WhisperFlow, you mean like just Apple's like native audio button? And I'm like, what? I guess on MacBooks, if you look at the very top bar, F5 is a microphone button. If you push F5, you can just talk to your MacBook. I didn't realize that. So you don't actually need to pay for WhisperFlow. Sorry, WhisperFlow. They're not a sponsor of the show anyway, so we should be good saying that. But I once I realized that. So it's really easy. It's a tactile button. There's nothing fancy you have to do. If you've used Claude Code or Claude Cowork before, you know that it has like and even ChatGPT, they have like a audio button you can click and talk to it. But if it's running a command, if it's working on something, that button disappears. So it doesn't actually let you do that. So anyways, to get around this, you just use Apple's built-in microphone button and you're good to go. And you talk to it. And then as far as like, if you are interested in building an app, I mean, I'm sure there's a million things you're interested in doing, but if you are interested in building an app, it is incredibly simple. Xcode, which is going to be doing it in Swift. Tell Claude Code that you're going to do that. Use Supabase for your backend. Use GitHub. All you have to do is make a Supabase account, a GitHub account, download Xcode on your MacBook, and Claude Code can literally do the rest. You just tell it what you want, and it will build it. And
but so, okay, but hold on. But let's pause, because like you make it sound so simple. But like Xcode, tell us about what is
Xcode
what is
it? Like a program that compiles iOS apps, so Apple apps. And then like Android Studio is the one for Android apps. So in the past, what I've done, because my wife and I, when I first graduated, that was like my first startup was like a meditation app, which by the way, she rebuilt the whole thing from scratch 2 weeks before giving birth because she was on the couch and didn't feel like moving very much. So she did an amazing job there. But in the past, what we've done is there's two programming languages. One's called Flutter and one's called React Native. That's what we used. And it basically, you build one app and it pushes it to iOS and Android, the same app. The problem with that, and by the way, Claude will kind of steer you in that direction a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that neither of them are native. So Apple has its very own special code base called Swift that it's created for iOS apps. And because React Native and Flutter aren't native, there's little glitches where they're not perfect. And there's some bugs that are literally impossible to get rid of. We spent $200,000 on our first app, and by the end of like 2 years, there was like this bug where it just wouldn't play the audios all night long. Like some people wanted their meditations to play all night long. It couldn't do it. So we rebuilt the whole thing on Swift, and instantly the bug's gone, and every bug is gone, and it's like perfectly functional. So all I'll say, if you're ever going to build one native for Apple on using Xcode and Swift, and native for Android using Kotlin and Android Studio.
So what I love about this is that
everyone to do.
No. It's so helpful, because I think that there's a long time where people think like, you can't possibly build an app. And the big thing about this, I think, Jaedan, is like, even just from hearing, how you're describing it, right? Is that like, whether you have a lot of time or a little time or anything like that, the single most important thing you can do is actually define what you're trying to do. I think that so often we just get stuck with, at least when I get to work with a lot of people, and what I hear all the time is like, oh, I'm just not sure like what to do or what to use it for, or is it this? And we hit what at AI Mindset we call the mundane ceiling, which is essentially this idea that people sort of like, they've already done the emails, they've already sort of like used it to brainstorm, like what's next, and we realize like people are being kind of like bound by their own imagination.
Totally.
And actually, I was thinking like, if I was sort of like going to like build a new kind of class, right, on AI, very little of it would be AI. And like 80% would be, how do you like ideate? Like, how do you actually sort of like put yourself in the right kind of like flow state where you're like, what am I actually trying to do? Like, what do I actually want to do? Because this is the thing that I find over and over again, Jaedan, I think you'd agree. Once you sort of actually define what you actually want, then Claude and everybody else can do all the rest. It's just that sort of like nugget, don't you think?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's all about the quality of your explanation of what you want. But I also would say, don't get stuck in the trap, if you haven't done too much with it, of basically thinking it can't do everything. I would say try to get it to do literally everything. And if there's a limitation, you'll find it and you'll figure out, workarounds or what to do. But assume this thing can, like Claude Cowork, for example, can control your computer screen, open up your Chrome browser, go to any website that you have logged in already, and do anything you tell it to on that website. So assume it can do basically everything you need it to do. Sometimes it struggles with like video editing, for example, but I'm seeing people making specific tools that work with Claude Code for video editing. Sometimes it struggles with doing really repetitive tasks, right? Like generate like 1,000 images for like, some sort of news website that you have, or some, newsletter or something. So you can go use something like AI Box, build out tools and connect them to Claude that can help you with those. So there's all sorts of connections that people are creating with MCPs into Claude that can help you with basically everything it's not good at, but assume it can do everything and try to get it to everything, because you can save yourself so much time. While we're talking here, I have another laptop on the side of my desk that I'm just watching it pop up, and it is sending messages to people on LinkedIn about a program that I'm running, some friends that I've connected with in the past, and it's I had it put together the list. I gave it what it was going to be saying to every person, and it's just going and running through that. Something I would either have done manually or have paid like a virtual assistant to help me with the outreach and the contact on that. It's doing all of it for me. So it really is incredible, and it can do basically anything you ask it to.
That's what I found too, and I'll wrap it on here. But like when I think I told you a few weeks ago that I built my first agent. I have my little Mac Mini here on my desk, and it's amazing. And even like when I was like trying to fix this, I was asking Claude, I'm like, hey, how do you do this? And I have two agents. I have like Robin, which is my work one, and Henry, which is my home one. I end up using my home one a lot more actually, but even Claude was like, you should ask Henry. I'll bet Henry would know better than I would. And then Henry would be like, yeah. So it's almost like they're like working together. I know we've always heard this, like agents working together, but until you actually start experiencing it, it's bizarre. Just try things. It's just like that, but you have to define what you want to try. Guys, welcome back to all of us. Congratulations to Jaedan, to Jill, to the whole family. Welcome into the world, Clay. It is amazing to be back. We're going to get Jaedan a little more sleep. I'm guessing I probably woke him up for this podcast, but great to be with you, and we will see you on the next episode.